Shots in the Dark contains graphic depictions of events that may not be suitable for all listeners. We encourage all of our listeners to be open-minded and engage in dialogue with us through any of our social media accounts or email. I'm classy! But I can be classy! Arr.
So you don't play all day, all the time?
Babe, babe. Hi, and welcome to Shots in the Dark. I'm Ty.
I'm Whitney.
Hey, we have whiskey tonight.
I know, thank frickin' goodness. And we'll be sharing this cheers with a lovely human being, Chevy, who's always here in spirit at the very least.
Yeah. Should we take our shot?
Yes, indeedy.
Slancha. So you're true crime tonight. You're going to start out.
I'm theming, because this is who I am as a person, because I like me some themes.
I like a theme. What are you theming your stories for?
I am Halloween theming. Because obviously, it's October, and I am trying to love Halloween again after working in a haunted house and being stressed out in a managerial role for way too long.
I'm really excited because, as you know, I love Halloween. It is easily my favorite time of year, the whole month of October. Right now, I am so fucking #freaky for fall.
Oh my
Let's
God.
do this.
With my Halloween themey town, all of the stories that I've picked now for true crime are Halloween based.
Lovely.
The next one I'm real into, but I figured I should probably do this one first because it's a real big one.
Okay.
Near Halloween, urban legends consistently start running rampant. Obviously, everyone knows everything that you should and shouldn't do, and everyone has that kind of local lore about where they live. Don't go in these particular woods because somehow there's some sort of ritual that always happens at X amount of time or whatever.
Yeah.
Or everyone sees a white lady hitchhiking down the road. It's just what it is. Like, there's always some sort of, don't go to a graveyard after this time because the mausoleum will shut behind you, and then now you're part of the ritual.
The house at the end of the street on the hill.
Yeah. Truly. Or the one that seemingly has lightning behind it. All of these things obviously are the reason that Halloween is so kitschy and wonderful and people love it. But sometimes there's basis in reality for it, to be honest. Mm-hmm. Children are told repeatedly not to speak to anyone that they don't know. Stranger danger, obviously. We all know that phrase since we were tiny.
Yeah, and it didn't stick with you at all.
No, it didn't. No, I not kidding. I was talking to Johanna yesterday. I was up for a long time yesterday. Johanna and I were talking about how I for sure should have been murdered too many times. And she goes, well, what do you mean? Because we're kind of talking about, like, murdery stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I don't know what happens to me, man. I go on vacation, I just, like, make friends. And then I will go off with said friends down dark alleys to their homes and sit and hang out. That is who I am. I have yet to be murdered, clearly, because this is not a ghost voice. It would sound more like this. But I'm the one girl that you see wandering the streets and alleys in New Orleans during high-peak kidnapping times. Specifically between the hours of, like, 3 and 6 in the morning. I was talking to her about Thailand, too. When I was walking aimlessly down a real sketchy road and all the dogs were... My ex had that dream where she was like, hey, I dreamed that because you can't keep your hands off people's dogs, that you were going to pet one of the street dogs, and then one of the other street dogs that you had already pet was going to get territorial, and they were going to kill you. And then walking down a random alley in Thailand at 2 in the morning or 3 in the morning. It's just a bunch of dogs coming out of nowhere, and I was like, don't pet the dogs. Anyway, yes, I still haven't learned stranger danger, but I have some solid stories to tell from it, and I'm not dead. So, also, I'm pretty good with knives.
That's because you're a carny.
I am. I mean, I used to be.
You got out of that life. You broke free.
I did. So, obviously, on Halloween, it becomes socially acceptable to walk up to strangers' doors and knock a lock and grab any candy or presents that they have when you're trick-or-treating. It doesn't matter how old or young you are. Obviously, parents normally will come with you, but if you have a sizable group, sometimes that's not the thing. When I was younger, my friends and I would just go, but
yeah,
went in a giant mass.
That was how I did it when I was a kid. I pretty much just went with like a couple friends.
See, I went with a couple friends, but the only year I think that we had some sort of parental supervision was when Homie the Clown was in our area.
Oh, yeah, I could see that being a problem.
Yeah. Becomes a little bit more sketch when they do things over the PA and are like, hey man, don't walk up to anyone that has a sock and looks like a clown. And you're like, but why though? And they're like, they kidnap children. Not only is it socially acceptable to go up to people's doors that you don't know, but it's very, very much implied that you should be receiving gifts from strangers. Parents and caretakers are told by all that they must check any and all candy that the children bring home, even though obviously they're the ones that are saying, yeah, go acquire the candy.
Which is no longer a problem because now you can just bring it to the hospital and they'll x-ray it for you for free. Fun tip, parents out there.
Fun tip.
Bring your kids' candy to the hospital. They will x-ray it for you for free to make sure that nobody has put things in it.
Yeah, but to be honest, it's not a normal occurrence.
Exactly. But, you know, if you're a parent that cares about that and does it, you can.
Unwrapped and homemade or damaged items are always scrutinized thoroughly while the astute eyes of the parents or caretakers comb through them with the idea of finding poisoned or any sort of tampered treats.
Does this story involve like a pixie stick or anything?
Fuck you in the face.
I know exactly.
I knew you knew this.
Are we talking
thing.
about the Candyman? No, I love this story.
I was trying to like deep dive slide it. I legit like had like buried it like kind of weirdly.
This is a horrifying case too.
Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah.
It's awful.
I'm so excited now.
Denver, after pot was legalized, had even started a campaign to encourage parents to discern the difference between marijuana edibles and regular candies after pot was legalized due to the concerns that people might mix them up or intentionally give them to children. Here's the thing.
Who's giving their drugs away for free?
There we are. That's how I feel. Also, they are expensive.
Right?
That is not some, like, go get the caramel-covered sucker. That's not, like, get a bag for $5.
Yeah.
It's way better than a king-size candy, honestly. I can't imagine that someone's like, oh, yeah, I just gave away a bunch of pot suckers to children. It seems really asinine that people think that that's going to happen.
Everybody knows that you save those for the teenagers because the little kids aren't going to enjoy them as much.
Oh, I was saying like the parents that are trick-or-treating with their kids, like, oh, I hate this. This is way worse than when I was a kid. And then they put the sucker and they're like, this is all right.
Did this happen in Colorado or somewhere else?
It's Texas.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Texas. Needles and razors, broken glass, and sometimes toxic substances are constantly lurking within the tasty sweets in accordance to the lore surrounding any and all of the trick-or-treating, but very seldomly have there been any occasions to back it up. Unfortunately, sometimes, as we've talked about a little bit, the rumors have had some sort of factual basis.
Exactly, because typically urban legends come from somewhere.
Right. 49-year-old James Joseph Smith of Minnesota was charged with hiding needles inside of chocolate bars. Apparently they were Snickers. And a well-meaning San Francisco postal worker had handed out unclaimed candies without the knowledge that they had been used to smuggle drugs through the mail.
Rude. It was an accident.
It was a total accident. He was like, no one claimed this candy. It's trick-or-treat time. I'm at the post office working. Here, have some candies. And then it was unfortunate.
Did anybody die?
No. I don't see any deaths from there. In later years, a 5-year-old was even admitted to the hospital after ingesting heroin, albeit they did find out the heroin was added to the sweets later to cover that the child had obtained the drug from another source in the house. Because they are bad parents.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
So instead of being like, oh, we fucked up, they were like, let's make this look like a joke, I guess. And no, it's in my kid's candy.
Can't they tell if you've ingested heroin, if it's in your stomach, or if it's like gone into your body in a different manner? Because they would be able to find it in your stomach contents, wouldn't they?
Well, it was a 5-year-old that was just like hand to mouth thing.
How did the kid get the heroin? Did the kid eat the heroin and then they made it? Oh, he ate the parents' heroin.
Yes, and then later they were like, "Oh no, he's ODing because he's a 5-year-old." He assumably ate the heroin and then they had added it to the chocolates that he had acquired from his trick or treat to be like, "No, it wasn't us." But they found out it was later added. Smaller incidents have happened over the years. Sometimes it was supposedly broken glass or razors. but none are quite as well known or actually factually based as the death of Timothy O'Brien in 1974.
Sweet little baby.
He's a sweet baby. All he wanted was some delights. He was like, num, 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 snicks.
That's another reason I could never have kids, because if anything ever happened to my kids, I think I'd be like, meltdown, you know?
I mean, I feel it, because like I said, I'd be pretty much a helicopter mom. Be like, I'll do all your makeup. And they'd be like, no, Mom, it's boring. You're stupid.
Go over to Aunt Whitney's. She'll do your makeup. I watched you do that little girl's makeup at the art show.
Oh, yeah.
It was really cute. Like, I don't think that, like, you knew it. I was, like, a little bit just like, this is heartwarming. And that's strange for me because I'm dead inside. So you're making me feel things that I didn't think I could feel.
This is where I'm going to issue a kind of mid-thought trigger warning. If you have issues with children being injured, then maybe this story isn't for you. Jump ahead a little bit. I'm very sorry, but this is a pretty important part of why the things are the way they are now with trick-or-treating and taking care of your children. Here we go. On Halloween night, 1974, Ronald Clark O'Brien was doing what most parents do, which was taking his kids, along with two of the neighborhood children, trick-or-treating around to the nearby houses to his home county of Deer Park in Texas.
Okay, all right.
The kids had gone ahead after knocking aggressively on a door of a house that was darkened. Knowing that they weren't going to get candy, they moved on.
As you do.
Yeah. Timothy was 8 and Elizabeth a 5-year-old. Both his children were busy with the other neighborhood children when Ronald had shown up with several large pixie sticks that he said he had acquired from the house.
Like the big plastic ones?
Yes, the huge ones. The ones that...
Oh, yeah.
They were like the score of the century when you're little,
you
know?
Absolutely. So all the kids got one of the big pixie sticks.
Well, all the kids that were directly in his circle. So both of his kids, Elizabeth and Timothy, as well as a few other kids, even one of the kids that he kind of vaguely knew from church.
It's just so weird, though, too, that they kind of, like, left his sight for a hot minute, and then he just appeared with them. Like, he was trick-or-treating on their behalf, but only had these pixie sticks.
I've also trick-or-treated on behalf of small ones. Eventually, the O'Briens had returned home to look through their earned candy hoards. You know, like you do on Halloween. It doesn't matter what kind of family you grow up in. If they let you trick-or-treat, if you trick-or-treat at all, you always go through the hoard and you kind of sort your candy out and like, oh, this is the best ones. Maybe I'll either save that for last or I need this right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When they all had gotten home and actually sorted out their candy hoards, Timothy had begged his dad for one piece of his loot before he had gone to bed. Eventually, O'Brien had submitted and Timothy had chosen the prize jumbo pixie stick, which in his 8-year-old hands must have been almost as tall as he was.
Ginormous.
Which is probably why he picked it. Because it's just a stick of sugar.
Baby, no. Every time I think about things happening to children, I just think about my dog. Like, I just do. And I'm just like, Bubba, no.
I think about your sister being like, I hate it when you do those. And I was like, I'm sorry, I do them a lot. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. So, forewarning, sorry, Shannon.
So he didn't hesitate after his dad said it was okay for him to have that pixie stick. He had opened it up. He had tried to get the candy out, but the inner type of sugar had weirdly bonded to the side, so it was very clumpy.
I wonder if that's because of a chemical reaction. I don't know.
His dad had rolled it between his hands and helped him get the candy out, and he dumped quite a bit of it in his mouth. Timothy had complained that the candy tasted very, very bitter. Obviously not like the sweet tart pixie sticks that everyone knows. In order to get rid of the flavor of the bitterness, because his son was complaining about it, he went and acquired a glass of Kool-Aid. And then when Timothy had drank it, he was okay for a little bit, but unfortunately, a few minutes later, he started vomiting in the bathroom and seizing on the floor. O'Brien had called a transport to the hospital, but he died on arrival. A neighborhood person had supposedly intentionally tainted his candy, and unfortunately, he received it and ate it. It's real upsetting.
It is.
Parents in the area started to panic, as you would.
Yeah.
They turned over their kids' candy bags to local police or dumped a lot of the candy obtained in the garbage.
Those poor kids.
Right, but also those safer kids.
I'm down with it. I get it. I would have been one of those parents too, absolutely. But you know what I'm saying? It's just like, that's gotta really suck as a kid. It's just like, there's all your candy getting dumped into the garbage or turned over because one piece of shit had to go ahead and ruin Halloween for people.
Right. A Harris County prosecutor, Mike Hinton,